like you can just go across the street.
Wait.
Alright, here we go.
I live in Ken and that.
It's got a big one. That's a big sign.
Yes, sir. All the better to be seen with, right? Probably give him to my brother. Probably should give him to my brother.
Hello?
He's on the main road.
That waving, Noah.
I'm glad I'm not in it.
You already got taken.
I'm an engineer, right? I'm a
I
number of
got it
jobs.
from Bonnie.
Yes.
Kiss it, baby.
Mwah.
Yeah.
This guy?
Right here.
Go back.
Big
Scott
supporter.
McDonald.
Big supporter of Brad Wyatt, a decent and honorable man.
Hey. All right. Hey. Hey. Come on, look alive.
Using the civil rights movement to get more.
Yeah, yes I'm one.
Yes.
And yes I'm Brad Wyatt. Mine, we can talk to
Good evening, and welcome to the Candidates Forum for the 12th Worcester District, which includes Berlin, Boylston, Clinton, Lancaster, Precinct 2 in Sterling, and Precinct 2, 4, and 4. On November 4th, voters will choose between the Democrat, incumbent Harold Naughton Jr. of Clinton, and the challenger, Republican Brad Wyatt of Boylston. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the Coulter Press, publishers of the Item and Banner newspapers, along with Sterling Lancaster Community Television and our hosts, the Lancaster Community Center. I am your moderator, Gary Hutner, publisher of the Coulter Press. So now I'm going to give you the rules, which hopefully you both have looked at. They're very complicated. Each candidate will have a chance to make a 2-minute opening statement. We will begin alphabetically. So we will start with incumbent Harold Naughton Jr., followed by challenger Brad Wyatt. We will then ask a series of questions, with candidates getting 2 minutes to answer. When you have 30 seconds left, Jan will hold up a yellow sign. When your time is up, she's going to hold up a red sign, which will be accompanied by a very annoying tone. So please don't go past your time. Try and wrap it up within the 2 minutes. Be considerate and try and conclude your answer within that time. When we get to the questions, we'll start with Mr. Wyatt going first on question 1, then Mr. Naughton going first on question 2, and back and forth. After the questions are done, we will do closing statements. Each candidate will then again have 2 minutes. We'll start with Mr. Wyatt and conclude with Mr. Naughton. After the forum, you'll have a chance to meet the candidates. We will not be taking questions from the floor. We have solicited questions from our readers, and those have been incorporated into the questions that we're asking tonight. And we ask, please, 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 that you hold your applause to the conclusion of the forum. If you don't, Jan's going to come over and play that tone in your ear and make you stop. I also, before we get started, want to thank Sterling Lancaster Community Television once again, the Lancaster Community Center, and Director Alex Turner for allowing us to use the Community Center. So, without further ado, we'll get right into opening statements, and we'll start with Mr. Naughton.
Gary, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank you, the Coulter Press, Lancaster, Sterling Community Television, and the Community Center here at Lancaster, and Alex Turner, for organizing this event. Gary, 4 years ago at a similar event, you asked me how an effective representative could balance the needs of multiple diverse communities. And the answer to that was then, and it is now, that you come to know the people. You come to know their goals, their priorities, what they need for their families, what they desire for themselves and their futures. You never stop fighting and advocating for their values and priorities. As we sit here in the shadow of the historic Lancaster Common, the town green, I can report that as of late as last week, Governor Patrick signed legislation filed by Senator Flanagan and I validating the town meeting vote to assist the redevelopment of the historic Prescott building here on the green that will allow effective use of taxpayer dollars from this town and from the state from grants that we received we were successful in procuring to add this gem to this gem of the town green. This joint, focused, and effective achievement between town and state is representative of the work we always try to do from efforts such as this, through our continuing economic development efforts in the Lunenburg Road and Old Union Turnpike area, our conservation efforts in the Bolton Flats, to our work in Sterling, on sewer and wastewater improvements in Washington Village, which literally saves people's homes, to the urging of the Master Department of Transportation to redesign the very dangerous, toxic road, Route 12 intersection in an effort to protect and save lives. My office has worked incredibly hard to serve citizens of each and every town. It is my goal every day to continue this fight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I give you the opening statements, I want to thank whoever had their phone go off. Please turn off your phones. That was a reminder for everybody to not have your phone on during the... Thank you.
Sure. I want to thank the Clinton Item and Banner, Sterling Lancaster Cable, and everyone who came out tonight and was watching at home. My name is Brad Wyatt, and I grew up in a family of small business entrepreneurs. I'd like to share that upbringing a little bit so you can understand some key life experiences that influenced my core values. My great-grandparents, the Marcinzics, came to America the right way, through Ellis Island and settled on Chestnut Street in Clinton. Eventually, my mother, Helen Marcinzic, started a dress shop on High Street. She married my grandfather, Roger Nowak, who always stressed to me the importance of hard work and told me tales about planting apple trees for a nickel each. Eventually, he became plant manager of Ambrosia in Trenton, now Weetabix, and later had 40 patents and started his own plastics company. You can see some of the products that he made over here. On the other side of my family, my father, Peter Wyatt, was an orphan, joined the Air Force, served honorably in the Korean War, earned an accounting degree, and started New England Diamond, making diamond blades. He was so proud of American manufacturing. We had tools for construction and manufacturing in 6 states, and there was diamond blade there. They taught me to respect my employees and my customers, to work hard, and always deliver a quality product. I started out delivering newspapers, then I worked in a convenience store, and I always wondered, the convenience store, cigarettes, people said they were going to quit if it was $3 a pack, it was $2.55, and I think the taxes are the second highest in the country now, it's $3.55 for a tax. So I pay attention to the issues. I got a degree in computer engineering from Carnegie Mellon, one of the top computer schools in the country. I came home and I worked for my father's company to streamline manufacturing. Running a small business, working with customers, suppliers, and vendors, employees, developed a balance with many tough decisions, and I think I'm the right guy to try to make some tough decisions to make our district a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. So the first question, we'll start with you, Mr. Wyatt. Education funding is always a challenge to districts, with special education causing particular hardships to some districts, especially when faced with unexpected out-of-district placements, which districts like Clinton have faced the last couple of years. Do you think the current educational aid and reimbursement system works? And if not, how would you like to fix it?
Education, I've been on the school board in the Berlin-Boylston Regional School Committee for 5 years. I look at the numbers all the time, and I do have to say I think the formula is clearly broken. Some kids cost a lot of money, and the circuit breaker, it's at a 4 times multiple, and I think we should move that back to a 3 times multiple to try to help the towns. I think that would be a good step forward in the right direction. I also think that we have too many unfunded mandates from the state, whether it's Common Core curriculums that we have to buy, whether it's district data determined measures we need to implement, whether it's teacher evaluation that we have to do. I really think the solution is just let the teachers teach in local control. I find it hard to believe that the same educational decisions that are made for Lawrence apply to Lancaster, and Boylston apply to Berlin and Boylston. So I really think there are a lot of things we can do to increase education. By the way, I do want to thank my wonderful wife, Duffy, who's here. And I have a daughter in 5th grade in Williston Elementary Schools, and I care about education. Thank you.
Gary, as many know, I started out in my political career on the Clinton School Committee, where I proudly served some time ago. My own kids are 16, 15, 14, and 11. I see the value, the tremendous value that education has played in their lives. And you're right, Clinton gets whacked by their average spending in Clinton is 22%. The towns surrounding us are anywhere from 14 to 17%. A lot of that's attributable to placements that are coming into the town from state agencies. I've pushed back against that. Just recently, when DCF wanted to place a group home up on the acre, I called for a moratorium and fought it tooth and nail as hard as I could. Unfortunately, it's been in. So far, it hasn't had any impact on the school system. But what I do every cycle is try to work for more local aid, more Chapter 78 to the towns, and more circuit breaker aid that will be assisted in my towns. We've also raised the school transportation funding over the last few years. We've increased this past year Chapter 78 by the biggest amount since the financial crisis in 2008, by over $125 million per year. And that's all that really is returning taxpayer money to the people in the district. Brad and I actually agree on one thing. This Common Core issue really has me concerned. I do believe, from my days in the school committee, that local control is the best. That the local teachers, local principals, and local school superintendents, along with parents and school committees, know what's best for their kids. I've known that since my days in the school committee, and I still believe it to this day.
Thank you very much. Next question, question number 2. We'll start with you, Mr. Naughton. How will you be voting on ballot question 2? Do you support increasing the recycling bills to include things like water bottles, Gatorade bottles, and why?
You know, I support the concept of it because, as we see with the increase in bottles like these lying all over the highways and byways of our Commonwealth, it's really grown to epidemic proportions. My problem with the bill overall is, I talked to some of the small convenience store owners in the district, is storage. If we increase it to these bottles, and it's also talking about increasing it to gallon milk jugs and other Gatorade bottles and expanding it to those areas, that's going to be a problem for our small convenience store owners. So we have to take that into account. Either pick it up on a greater basis, get mass print in there on a much more frequent basis to help them out, because they don't have the storage, and we shouldn't put them to cost to expand that storage. And additionally, I don't like the idea that it could potentially automatically increase or expand to other bottles in coming years.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wyatt?
I actually agree with Representative Naughton here. I think that tying something to inflation is not a good strategy. I think the original bill for the bottle bill came out before there was curbside recycling and a lot of other solutions. And I think rather than taking political stances on this, we should all just sit down and try and figure out the best way to try to recycle items, make our environment cleaner, instead of just adding an additional tax on bottled water that we all drink. Thank you.
Okay. You can get us out of here early. So let's stay on the questions then. Let's talk about ballot question number 1. How do you plan to vote on ballot question number 1 to repeal the indexing of the gasoline tax so it doesn't automatically increase yearly, and why?
Well, being a small business owner, I had a company New England Diamond, and we had 14 trucks on the road and 6 facilities around the country. And when you have trucks on the road, that costs gas. And when the price of gas goes up, you try to pass that cost along. So you pass it along to your customer, and then tries to pass it along to their customer. And if there's a break in that chain, guess what? That economy stops, it grinds to a halt. You pull trucks off the road, people lose their jobs, you don't go out there and prospect for sales. And so to me, I think it's critical that we make sure our gas price does not go up tied to inflation. It's a point that every business, every person understands. When I talk to seniors when I campaign and they say the price of groceries are going up, it's because the price of gas is going up and the cost to deliver those groceries there. So for many, many reasons, I will be voting yes to repeal the gas tax indexation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Naughton?
Gary, I'll be voting to keep the gas tax the way it is, the way I think it would be hypocritical if I were to change that at this point. There was a tremendous amount of debate on this in the legislature. Out in this part of the Commonwealth, the You want to keep your trucks on the road, and you don't want to pay that much for gas, but you want to keep them on good roads as well. We don't have the MBTA. We have limited bus service. We have roads. That's how people get to and from work around here. That's how they get, that's what drives our economy in this part of the Commonwealth. And people, with this increase in the gas tax, we hope to be able to project forward a predictable schedule for improving our roads, and so that people, although they might be paying more in gas, they're going to be saving on the wear and tear on their motor vehicles. I was speaking to a senior in Clinton the other day who, in the legendary problems with Water Street in Clinton, was complaining that she's broken 2 struts on her car. She lives down in Green Street, and she could understand the need for that revenue, so that we can predict, plan in a predictable fashion, how are we going to fix our roads as we go forward. That's our bread and butter around here. That's our transportation. It drives the infrastructure around here. Has allowed Nitro to expand to its new facility, flooding the district over with Devons. It's allowed other economic development to go on in the area, and good infrastructure drives economic development.
Question 4, we'll start with Mr. Naughton. Towns are frequently budgeting blind, having to use the governor's local aid proposal to set budgets because the state aid package is not finalized until after towns have set their own. There's frequently a lot of politicking between House 1, the governor's proposal, and the final budget approved by the House and Senate and sent to the governor by vetoes. How would you change the process to give towns a better picture of aid so local officials can set more realistic budgets going forward?
Sure. Well, every year for the last several years, we've passed with bipartisan support. Early in the legislative year, early in the budget cycle, we passed a local aid resolution. The governor comes out with his budget in January, his proposed budget in January. House Ways and Means has been working on their version of it for some weeks prior to that. And sometime when we get some idea of what revenue is going to be for the rest of the sitting fiscal year and the next fiscal year is when we're able to arrive at proposals for local aid, for Chapter 70, for Chapter 90, for unrestricted local aid. And usually in the area of late March or early April, we are able to take a local aid resolution, and again, generally with bipartisan support, which guarantees a minimal level to towns of what they can use in the planning of their budgets. Normally, at least in this past fiscal year, we were able to then come back later on in the fiscal year and be able to propose an even higher level of local aid, because we had greater knowledge of what the revenue was coming down the pike, and which has been assisting the towns. And the example being, right here in the town of Lancaster, they're going to be able to close their books with a $100,000 surplus in free cash this year because of prudent fiscal management in this town and assistance from the Commonwealth.
Being on the school committee, the school budget, especially with the region, is very complex, and so I jump into the budget all the time. And I do have to say it's very inconvenient when we don't know what our numbers are going to be from the state. That being said, I think there are some things the state can do better. This year we got a $25 increase per student from the state, which may sound nice, but that's not much. Like our schools, our local aid, and some of the other things they spend their money on. There was actually a bill up there that would give 50% of the excess revenue beyond what they anticipated to the towns, which my opponent voted against. I think we need to do whatever we can to make sure that money goes back to the towns. We'll spend it wisely. That being said, the school budget needs to know how much money we're going to get, and as long as they could do a bill that says you're going to get what you got last year at minimum, everything else will be put in the piggy bank for next year.
Thank you very much. Okay. So Wyatt, we're going to start with you. We're going to take a global question here and bring it local. Every day in this country, 1 in 4 children go to bed hungry. That is not just happening in other parts of the country, but studies show that many Massachusetts families are struggling with issues of hunger. How can state governments address this problem while funding hunger relief efforts without reducing local aid and other expenditures needed by other parts of government?
I'm a believer in jobs. I think we need to find ways to create our economy moving again, create jobs, so that there is money coming into those households, not just from the government to supplement, but actually well-educated workforce. We have a very hard work ethic in this part of the country, in Massachusetts, in this district. And it just seems crazy to me that we can't find a way to create jobs in this state. We've got a high regulatory burden, we've got a high tax burden, and I think if we solve those problems, I think a lot of the hunger problems will get solved. I think if you just nip around the edges and try to feed kids, you're not going to solve the problem ultimately. I think ultimately, we have the opportunity here. We've got a central location, but yet we have inventory tax. We've got down in Texas, where I had a facility, if you did less than $400,000 in revenue, you paid zero corporate state income tax, which encouraged small businesses to grow. Governor Baker, or candidate Baker running for governor, has actually adopted that in his platform. I think solutions like that to really help the small businesses grow, to get our economy rolling, that's the best way to help. Thank you.
I agree. Economic development is the way to go. We have a proven track record of encouraging, enhancing, and supporting business development in this district. From as recently as the money for incubator startups that we've gotten passed through the state budget to return taxpayers' dollars to the district on the edge of Lancaster and over on the edge of Northborough to drive small businesses and jobs into the district, to infrastructure enhancements, again, on the roads surrounding the district and into the district, to the River Bridge project in Northborough and the Northborough-Berlin line, to St. Cobain, Norton St. Cobain, to Dewey Pile, to the Knight Road expansion. These are all assisted by very, very hard-working business people stepped up. They were all assisted by projects and the medical devices bill, the economic development bond bill, the transportation bond bill, where the state came to the table and provided a certain level of support to allow these companies to do this. And we could go on with funding we've advocated for in Boylston on Route 140. There's a lot from the savings bank to work to move up that way. So all of these things can add to a rising tide. A rising tide lifts all boats. But we can't ignore the issue of child hunger by simply saying tomorrow we're going to create all these jobs. What we can do is work in public-private partnerships, work with the small towns, work with the larger cities, utilizing their food banks that we have in each and every community in this district. People work very hard. Volunteers work very hard. We have a very strong tradition of volunteerism in this area. People step up and help their fellow citizens. And I think we do our best to enhance that.
Thank you very much. Last question before closing statements. I've asked you a lot of specific questions, given some good answers, but let me give you a chance to tell me what you feel is, what is the biggest challenge facing the district? And how would you address it?
I think we've been on the thing all night, and that is how to keep good jobs for good people in this district, well-paid jobs. The economy is run along in fits and starts since 2008. The unemployment rate in all 6 of the towns in this district is significantly lower now than it was in 2008. But it's still not enough. People are working more, but their salaries aren't rising right now. What we've got to do is continue to enhance partnerships between the towns, the state, and find ways to assist private industry in expanding their job space. The way Tyca, a company in Clinton, which moved from Waltham to Clinton because of lower costs to do business out there. Among those lower costs are the incredibly inexpensive water costs out here, because we have fought very hard, this office has fought very hard for the last 20 years to maintain Clinton's historic rates in water from the Wachusett Reservoir, and reimbursement to the town for the use of the 40% of the land taken for the building of the Wachusett Reservoir, and the reimbursement and the running of the Clinton Water Sewer Treatment Plant that is controlled by the MWRA, and the cost of that comes over by the MWRA. We fought that battle every year for 20 years, and we wanted helping to keep those costs of doing business low in this area.
Mr. Wyatt?
I believe it's jobs. I don't think the cost of doing business is very low in this area. Just this year in June, I got a notice my unemployment insurance went up 61%. 61%, retroactive to the first of the year. That's not very business friendly.
No.
Small business, entrepreneurs, innovation, technology, that's the path to the future economic prosperity and jobs. And every vote I take, every decision, will be encouraging them to build businesses in our district. I've been endorsed by National Federation of Independent Businesses. I've been endorsed by New Jobs for Massachusetts. I understand what it takes to create jobs, and I want to get up there and I want to work. And I will work hard to make it happen. And often I hear, well, we need the tax revenue and we put a burden on the business. Well, I'm here to tell you, the budget is $36 billion. There is waste, fraud, and abuse up there. And we need to dig in and look. It's not easy. It's a tough decision. You're going to ruffle some feathers. My opponents voted 99.24% of the time with the Speaker of the House. I'm not afraid to get up there and make a decision and go after it if we see something that's wrong. We need to save money, put that money back in the pockets of the people sitting in this room and watching on TV so they can spend it and get this economy going again. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, well, it's closing, but Mr. Wyatt, you go first.
Sure. Thank you again for the audience for their kind attention during this. Throughout this campaign process, I am continually thankful and humbled by all the grassroots supports that I get. My opponent and I have similar honorable end goals. We both strive to improve the quality of life of the residents of our district. However, to borrow a reference from the game of chess, we have different strategies to achieve that objective. My opponent may call himself a fiscal conservative, but that's just simply not true when he votes 99.24% of the time with the Speaker of the House. The tech tax, the gas tax, goes on and on. I believe that you can spend your money better than the state can take it from you and redistribute it. I believe your town can deploy unrestricted local aid better than they can offer grants and programs to your towns. I believe that local control of education, letting the teachers teach, instead of one-size-fits-all, is the best way for optimal learning. I believe the gas tax is a regressive tax that hurts the economy, and it hurts working families and seniors. It costs more to drive to work, and it costs more for the groceries that get delivered to the store. I believe there is waste, fraud, and abuse in that $36 billion budget, and I want to go find it. And rather than a knee-jerk reaction to raise taxes when you need more money from infrastructure, and trust me, I do believe in infrastructure. I think it's very, very worthy. But there are other solutions. Maybe you could look at prevailing wage for some projects being dropped, things like that. But those are never talked about. I believe in fewer regulations and taxes on small business, and I believe that will result in more economic activity and job growth. John F. Kennedy once said, in 1962, it is a paradoxical truth that tax rates are too high and tax revenues are too low, and the soundest way to raise revenues in the long run is to cut the rates now. Cutting taxes now not to incur a budget deficit, but to achieve the more prosperous, expanding economy which can bring a budget surplus. And that's what I want to do. In business, my father always repeated the slogan, the customer pays the bills. I believe in customer service, which if elected translates to constituent service, and I'll return phone calls and follow up on resident issues. My name is Brad Wyatt. My campaign platform is based on good jobs, great schools, and lower taxes for working families and seniors. Please check out my website at www.bradwyatt.com. Thank you very much. It's time for a change.
Thank you very much.
Gary, thank you. I want to thank you for your graciousness this evening, as always. The banner, Lancaster Community Center, Gaelic Turn. I've committed the last 3 decades of my life to serving our community. I'm sitting on the Clinton School Committee, getting a job investigating welfare fraud in this Commonwealth, while I worked my way through law school nights. We're entering the district attorney's office here in Worcester County, fighting for safe streets and neighborhoods. When the opportunity to run for representative presented itself, I left upon it as another chance to serve. After 9/11, I followed the example of my father and millions like him and joined the United States Army Reserve in an effort to protect this country. I served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Memories that will never leave me. My goal has always been to do good on as broad a basis as possible. From individual constituent services to to the local issues that have been discussed tonight, to the fight for passage of the McNamara bill, based on the death of a call firefighter in this town, which is opposed heavily by the Boston crowd. Now we assure that every volunteer firefighter in this Commonwealth and his family can rest assured that they'll be taken care of in the event of a tragedy. It's a local issue. It's not some pie in the sky, philosophical discussion. That affects people here. I believe I've continuously reflected the priorities and values of this district. My greatest love has been as a husband. My greatest joy has been as a father. My greatest duty has been to wear the uniform of the United States of America. My greatest honor has been to serve you in the Massachusetts House of Representatives. I ask that on November 4th, you allow me to continue that fight for all of us. Thank you.
You'll have a chance, people here who want to meet with the candidates after this forum, you'll have a chance to do that. For those of you watching live, I'm going to give you where you can watch. Yes, you can watch it tape. This will be broadcast, or not broadcast, but it will be available on townhallstreams.com. That's townhall, STREAMS.com. You look under Lancaster, and it will be available there through the election. I want to thank both candidates for your respectful tone tonight and tenor, keeping within the time limits. Appreciate it very much. Once again, I want to thank Sterling Lancaster Community Television, the Lancaster Community Center, Director Aylward Turner. I should also point out to Mike Kane and Jan Gottesman, the editors of the banner and the item, for all they did to make this happen. And once again, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hey, good to see you, hon.
Take care of the guests.
With the 10 to 1 change, 45 days from now.